This episode is brought to you by Google. Innovation is deeply ingrained in America, and Google is helping Americans innovate in ways both big and small. There are hundreds of thousands of skilled trades roles across the U.S. waiting to be filled. To help close this gap, Google is expanding its skilled trade support to help train more than 300,000 American workers across more than 20 states. This is a new era of American innovation. Learn more at grow.google/skilled trades.
Morning decisions. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
Hear that? That's now Crispy and McCrispy Strips meeting Creamy Caesar Sauce. Sounds extra crispy. Caesar Sauce at McDonald's for a limited time. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Hey everyone, welcome back. It is Jay Scott and it is The Hook Rocks, the ultimate rock community podcast. Thanks again for tuning in. We do appreciate it. We are part of the Pantheon Podcasts network, a great network of music-related podcasts. There's so many great hosts and shows on Pantheon related to music, all different types, from heavy metal to folk music and everything in between. It really is something. So check out all those shows, including The Hook Rocks. And of course, the official Metallica podcast too is on Pantheon. And you can catch them on social media at Pantheon Pods at Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, as well as Threads. And you can do the same with The Hook Rocks on all four of those platforms. Just search up The Hook Rocks and also set your app to automatic download so you get the latest episode right to your phone. We've had some tremendous episodes to start the year. We had our top 25 albums that we ranked in for 2023. Mine being Grace Potter's Mother Road, which I just absolutely love the album, and I love the story she tells in the album too as well. But check out all the other picks that we had for the year. Again, I say this a lot, we're not a music publication and the elitist of music. We like what we like, and we like good stuff, and we like stuff that still has melody and it still has a meaning behind it and stories behind it. So check that out. Check out that episode. And we had some great interviews too as well. We talked with Joe Satriani about his upcoming tour with Sammy Hagar, paying tribute to Eddie Van Halen. We also had Todd Dan McKearns, the bassist for Slash, and Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators, and many others. We've had a great discussion as well about Atmos, Dolby Atmos Digital. We had our audio tech expert that we have on once a quarter talking about new sounds and new like surround sound and Atmos, like I said. And we welcomed the progressive rock band District 97 to talk about how they mix the album in surround sound and in the digital audio to Dolby audio as well. So that's an interesting conversation for all you audio geeks out there too as well. We do that once a quarter. Got a tremendous show for you today. I've been listening to this gentleman's new album here for the past few days, and I just absolutely love it. I love when you feel music, and I love when the music creates an atmosphere, and it it's good for the soul, this type of music. And I like to welcome in Tyler Ramsey, the former guitar player for Band of Horses. And he's got a new solo album out. We're going to talk about that. Had a little bit of a brain cramp there, but
oh, that's all right.
how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I've listened to the new album, and I love the approach to guitar that you have, and the way you quote unquote attack the guitar, the phrasing, and how you play. Where did all that come from for you? Where did that start?
I'm pretty self-taught on the guitar. I've listened to a lot of music and tried to imitate some things, but I never was the person to sit down and like learn note for note somebody's song or the way someone played something or their solo or anything. And I started out really like falling in love with like instrumental guitar music. I really liked Leo Kaki and Michael Hedges and people like that that can make the guitar sound like a full orchestra almost, like, or a band, that people that were composing for the guitar as a solo instrument. That's kind of what hooked me into the instrument. And then kind of fell in love with country blues and fingerstyle guitar in that world, like people like Mississippi John Hurt and that kind of folk blues stuff. I really have a really big part in my heart for that kind of stuff. So I kind of have this big mashup of those things going on in what I do now. I do a lot of open tunings. I kind of find my way around the instrument in my own way, I hope. And I kind of think the best part about my playing maybe is that through just kind of fumbling through over the years, I've kind of found a little bit of my own voice on the instrument rather than like, directly taking from other people's styles or whatever. It's kind of like it's just a blur of all the things that I've been passionate about over the years that turned into kind of what I do now.
That's one of the things that I notice is the uniqueness of the sound. And I was trying to figure out like who you sound like, and I couldn't come up with anything. And that's a huge compliment for a guitar player. It's like, because you can hear different styles or different influences in certain guitar player's style. And I was just, there was, like you said, there was country blues, there was, some interesting stuff, but it was very atmospheric, and the way the phrasing, the way the attack of the guitar was, it makes you really kind of set a vibe and an atmosphere. I mean, that's one of the things I notice about your music is it's a feeling as well. It's not just a song. You actually kind of engross yourself in emotion when you hear your music.
Yeah, I think the reason that comes across to people that listen to what I do, because that's how I feel when I'm doing it. Like I've always had this connection with the guitar and music in general, where for me, it's like almost like a meditation sometimes, playing it or practicing or just working on things. I can really like kind of lose myself in it. And I feel like that, that's kind of the core of some of the music I do. And I feel like people can hear that, or people can experience that when they're just listening to me doing that. It's like, it comes across to people. I've heard from people, that they that's one of the things they get out of what I do on the instrument. So, yeah.
When you're developing your sound, going back, when you first started, because it's a unique tone and a unique sound, going through your mind, how do you know that it's acceptable to you? Because you've never kind of heard that style, what you do. And it's so, how do you make it work is what I'm trying to say, to make it sound unique like it does, but also pleasurable to the listener?
Yeah, I don't know that what I do necessarily is something like brand new. It's not like I didn't reinvent anything. I just kind of came up with my own voice to kind of translate all the ideas that I'd kind of absorbed over the years. So I feel like what I do is it's not going to shock anybody to hear it or take them out of the song necessarily. It always like is in service of the songs that I write. The guitar parts are always integral to what I do when I'm writing a song. They kind of, the lyrics and the vocal melody go hand in hand with what I'm doing, with the fingerstyle stuff on the guitar. So yeah, I don't think it's like shocking and no one's going to be like, whoa, that's something brand new. But it's just kind of like my own way of yeah, my own way of kind of fumbling through and finding my voice on that instrument. I think I only recently kind of started realizing that about what I do, or just owning it a little bit, just being like, well, yeah, I kind of feel like I've developed something that sounds like me. Like a lot of, some people might get confused who it is, but I know a lot of people that hear my guitar playing and they're like, oh, that's you. That sounds like you. So yeah, it's just been an ongoing process, and I feel like it's always going to shift a little bit, and I'll, maybe someday I'll sit down and like learn a bunch of scales and, try and learn somebody's solo or something. But for now, it's been really satisfying just to kind of do what kind of naturally comes to me.
Was that part of your evolution? You just touched on something there. You just made a statement like, maybe someday I'll learn someone's solo. When you were developing your style, did you stay away from playing other people's music, which helped, create your uniqueness?
I don't think I intentionally. It was probably out of laziness, really, that I didn't sit down and like transcribe solos. I mean, I think the people that do that kind of work and put that time into their instrument, it can go a couple of ways. You could either master the instrument so much that you just never find your own voice. You could like learn how to play every, Eddie Van Halen solo or whatever, and like note for note and sound exactly like him, or like just be able to just shred and play everything. It kind of like, I think sometimes too much knowledge can maybe have not the best outcome for your style or whatever. But there are people that, that blow me away, that can play anything, that can just play anything on the guitar. Like I think about Blake Mills as somebody that I don't know if you heard of him, but he's phenomenal guitar player, and he spent a little time with us in Band of Horses. But man, he getting to know him a little bit and hearing his style and seeing that he can pull anything off, is pretty mind blowing. So I think what I've done is like the lazy version of kind of like appreciating music and trying to learn songs, but not ever going as far as like, I'm going to learn this note for note. I'm going to sit down and learn like this, this Reverend Gary Davis tune exactly the way he played it. I'm going to learn it. I'm going to listen to it a lot. I'm going to play it, but I'm going to play it almost like in a way that like folk music, the way the folk music gets passed down over the years, or even, country blues or blues and things like that. It's like a lot of the times the songs would pass from person to person, but it would never, everyone had their own little version of what they had heard somebody do. So if like someone came through town and was playing this really amazing folk tune, then somebody would be sitting across from them hearing it, and they'd go home and try and learn it, and it would turn into something else, and it has an evolution that way. So I feel like what I'm doing is just kind of like maybe just like the folky version of learning how to play the guitar. I don't know.
How does the vision begin with you with a song? Does it begin with a melody on the guitar? Does it begin with an idea of a lyric or a story you want to tell? What, is it all everything on the table? How does it begin mostly though for you?
Um, my my typical answer for that is that I don't have a method. I don't have a technique, and there's no go-to like way for me to kick things off. A lot of times I have to wait for some sort of inspiration, which, I think uh, I think if I like develop something, it might be more beneficial to me to have, more output and more music coming out. If I had like more of a go-to technique, or if I like set office hours and I came down and like wrote every day, but I tend to be more on the side of like waiting for something just to happen, which sometimes it makes you a little nervous because you're like, is something going to happen again? Because you wait around for a song to pop into your head. Sometimes it might not happen, but I would say that a lot of times, if there's been a repetition in how songs have come about, to me, it's like sitting around and playing the guitar or playing the piano. I write a lot on the piano as well. And maybe some little riff or chord progression like sticks and feels really good, and I might just sing a melody over the top of it, and then then there's words that pop into that melody space, and then I sit down and kind of shape whatever that first idea was, that little spark of maybe a lyric idea that pops in. And I can kind of like work that over time and mold it into what ends up being a whole song, But it's there, yeah. It's just kind of like hit or miss. That there's no go-to technique for me.
You mentioned not knowing when something's going to hit you, not knowing when something's going to, enter your brain and, start that process. With an artist, there's a lot of confidence in an artist, and there's also an insecurity as well. Like it's kind of like that fine line that a lot of artists kind of hover over. When you have those moments when nothing's coming, do you ever begin to push yourself, or do you just know just to wait until it does? Because you can, if it goes a long drought of creativity, I can imagine just being, who you are and what you do, there might be a little level of uneasiness with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's unsettling if you're a creative person to feel like you're not being creative. For me, I mean, I've had things that I've tried that worked. Like there's a song in the new record that is called "Dark, Dark, Dark," and I had been reading Jeff Tweedy's book, How to Write One Song. I'm looking around to see if I can find it. But I think in that book, it's funny. I'll read things like that, or like writing books occasionally, but I'll get like into the first chapter and then I'm just like stopping to try and do what they're talking about. So I haven't even finished that book, but I was reading it a little bit, and there was something maybe in there about like like writing a song in 20 minutes or something like that, giving yourself a certain amount of time. And by the end of that time, you have to be finished, like, so you have this window of time and you got to dive in and like make something happen. I think that's in his book. I might be confusing it with somebody else's, but, so I sat down, with the idea that I was going to write a song in 10 minutes. And I sat at the piano and, wrote that song in 10 minutes. Like by the time I was done, I'd written the chord progression and all the words and the vocal melody and everything. And I've never done that before, but that was like an example of me using somebody's technique or somebody's just creative nudge, like an inspiration to kind of try something that maybe is going to bring something out of you, because if you're not, I mean, I'm definitely aware of the fact that if you're not like sitting and trying to capture ideas, they can just drift past you and be gone, So it does take sitting down at a desk or sitting down with your guitar, some paper, and trying to write. You got to put in the time, and you got to be available for these ideas to be able to document them. So yeah, that was the one time, at least on this album, that kind of like that I took a different approach, and it really paid off in a really cool way. It was exciting to be like, yeah, I'm running out of time. I got to finish this, and it turned out to be one of my favorite. It's just got a really cool mood, that song, and there's a interest. I ended up writing a kind of cool guitar solo that I keep talking about. Like Phil Eck is the producer of the record, and he when I recorded that solo, he was like, "That's definitely the weirdest guitar solo I've ever recorded," and I was so proud of that. I was like, "That's awesome, man." I'll wear that as a badge of honor.
With that song, you're obviously happy with the end result because it's on your album, but that whole process sounds confining. Did that confinement give you a sense of purpose, or did it give you a sense of stress? Because it's so different than your normal process.
Yeah. I think what it did was allow me to not really care what the outcome was, which I normally totally do. If I start to be invested in a song, then I really can labor over it, and and do a lot of edits, and I think the song started out as just like, I'm just going to try this as a fun exercise. So it wasn't like I'm writing a song that's going to be on the album. It was like, I'm going to do this exercise and see what I come up with. And, and it worked, and it was really, really cool. And there wasn't any time where it was like there was any pressure involved in it. It was just kind of like a fun exercise to do. And after I wrote it and kind of like did a demo of it, I realized, oh, this is actually good. Maybe I should try other techniques like this more and see what I can come up with. But I don't feel like it, like if you hear it without me telling the story, no one's going to think like, oh, that sounds like a lazy, sounds like he just threw that together, and actually it came out like pretty fully realized, which was kind of blew me away.
That's such a unique way to do it, because the way you explained it is, yes, there's that confinement of a goal to write a song in a certain period of time, but at the same time, you also had a sense of freedom, because it was just like, oh, let's just see what happens. Let's just try this, and that's a pretty cool thing, because it's so out of the norm of what you normally do that when you get this song done, it had to be a surprise, like, hey, well, this actually happened, and then it also had to be exhilarating too as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of times in that creative process, or like in the process of writing something, it's hard to get out of your own way, and like hard to like shut off all the. I've got a lot of critics in my head, that I carry around with me, like that's just kind of like. I'll write something and just doubt that it's good, or think that someone's going to think it's dumb or whatever. I don't spend a lot of time thinking about other people when I write, but when I do, I mean, so it was cool. Yeah. It's just kind of like removed a lot of those blocks, that can get in the way of just free flowing creativity.
With this new album, in terms of the collection of songs, when did this process start for you? Was this stuff taken from other periods before, and maybe another album that maybe a song wasn't finished, or all these songs, are they completely new?
Part of them, there's little pieces that I've had for a while, just like there'll be like a line or a melody, that I carried around for a while. But, other than that, they're all, after my last record, and after I, had to stop touring, on that, all these songs came after that, other than like a select couple of lines um, and melody ideas that I had documented in my voice memos or whatever that I've kind of been dragging around for a while. So yeah, they're all new, and they all kind of came relatively quickly, probably over the period of a year, and um, mostly all were written at the same location, which is this cabin that is around the corner from my house that my friends were allowing me to use to do some writing, and that's a big part of the story of this record too. Is these super generous, awesome neighbors of mine provided this space for me to kind of be able to write and get away a little bit from my family, which is something that I found works for me. If I can remove myself from my day-to-day life, I can really kind of dig deeper into what I'm feeling and find the time to write. If I'm home, it's hard to step out of my role as a dad, and we've got some land, and there's always work to be done, and so yeah, these people provided the space that was close enough to home that I didn't feel like I was leaving my family to go far away, and they let me come stay there and write, which was a beautiful experience. I would go over there for 2 or 3 days at a time. I probably went over there maybe, I don't know, 7 or 8 times, something like that. And, would just pack a guitar and a keyboard and some food and go up there and just hang out for a few days. And usually by the second day, I was in the middle of something new, some new song, and it just felt like the perfect space for me to kind of create and get these feelings out that I was feeling.
Your new album, New Lost Ages, is out next Friday, February 9th. How do you know when your path of creativity for new material is there? Is it? I love the answer that artists give me. Is it something that, okay, I need to start writing an album, or you have a vision for what you want to do, a cohesiveness of songs or a collection of songs? How do you know when you're ready to start creating?
For me, it's usually that first song. I'll have you write a record's worth of material, you record it, you tour it. It's a cycle kind of thing. I feel like there's always a first song that shows itself at some point that allows me to know that, okay, here comes, a wave of this kind of, this part of the cycle of here's me writing again, and now I'm starting over, and I'm going to write all these songs and shape them into something. And when I feel like they're all in a place where I'm ready to go into a studio, then I'll run them by some people and then, get into the process of documenting them, and then the process of, getting all the album things together and artwork and mastering and all that stuff, and then go out on tour. But the beginning of that cycle is, here's a new song that kind of appeared out of nowhere, and one that I'm happy with. And that's usually the sign that the cycle is starting over again for me. For whatever reason, that's the way my brain works and this stuff.
You mentioned the cycle of album tour, writing album tour. When you're on tour, you have to stay in the present, obviously, because you're playing the music that you just wrote and people are listening to. But while you're out on the road, do you have ideas that you're recording, documenting. So when you come off that cycle, you have ideas that inspired you that you're excited about, or is it completely bare when you come off the road?
I mean, it can be a barren wasteland tour, it can be that. I find that even if I'm not documenting ideas, there's, you're building up experiences and emotions and things that are just sitting down in you, and you carry those home with you. And whether you have like written down, notes on a napkin or like a hotel, little pad of paper or whatever, it's like, I do that too. I write ideas down, or I document them, in my voice memos or whatever. But you're just always kind of absorbing potential fuel for the next.
Get business done with the new American Express Graphite Business Cash Unlimited card. With unlimited 2% cash back on all eligible purchases, unlimited 5% cash back on flights and prepaid hotels booked through American Express Travel Online, and a flexible spending capacity that can grow with your business, you'll have the confidence to keep building. Apply today and earn a welcome offer of $1,500 cash back after you spend $50,000 in qualifying purchases on your new card within the first 6 months of card membership. Terms apply. Learn more at go.amex/graphite.
At Ollie, we've got wellness down to a science. From PMS to pregnancy to menopause, our women's wellness line offers science-backed support for every stage. No judgment, no shame, none of the stigma. Just supplements designed to meet you wherever you're at. Ollie, choose science over shame. Find support at a retailer near you or on ollie.com. That's OLLY.com.
When you think like an athlete, setbacks don't stop you. But mindset alone doesn't get you moving again. That's where Icy Hot steps in. Ice works fast. Heat makes it last. So when the rest of the world settles because of a setback, Icy Hot accelerates your comeback with fast-acting, powerful pain relief. Icy Hot, you're so back.
Idea that you're going to try and write or whatever. So it's a process, but I've gotten lines that turned into full songs that were, me on a day off in a hotel room, picking up my acoustic guitar and writing down a couple things. It's usually hard to find like tons of energy when you're constantly moving and playing shows, but occasionally it you find that day where you feel rested and your little creative spark might be happening. You could get some ideas to take home with you.
Because you talked about the cabin that you stayed at to write, a lot of your music for the new album, and that's basically that mode you're in, right? You're in that mode of the creative process. You're in this cabin with minimal distractions and, trying to create. And on the road, it's just full of distractions. Like you said, you're constantly moving, you're constantly experiencing things. There's inspiration off of experiences. And it's two different avenues of surroundings, basically. And I know you're in a cycle at that moment when you're on the road, but do you prefer those moments in like a cabin style, isolated experience of creation, or do you like where the inspiration comes from the experiences of constantly moving? I mean, do you prefer one or the other, or are they both equal parts?
I'm a pretty solitary person. It's not the most natural thing for me to be constantly around people and touring and playing shows. It's not my core nature to be doing that. I love having time to myself. When I'm home, it's like I have a wife and 2 kids and lots of responsibilities here. When I have a chance to go kind of like catch my breath as just an individual person, I feel like that's really pretty deep for me to be able to like reconnect and maybe like let out some emotions that I've kind of possibly been like holding in to keep everything rolling, keep things together. But also, that being said, like there's nothing like the feeling of a room full of people that are like listening to the work that you did and like really seeing that be absorbed by people. Like it's not even necessarily the reason that I do this, but it's like it's such a beautiful exchange, like having a crowd of people and playing music for people. It's a beautiful thing. So that's why I go tour. I mean, I enjoy it so much. The rest of it, the rest of the touring part is hard and it's not healthy, like driving all day and, getting to a venue and hustling to get everything set up and, trying to find food somewhere. It can be like really a weird and unhealthy and difficult life. But that time that you're like allowed to be on stage and playing for people that came to see you play, man, it's like, it's a magical situation that I get to be in, when I do it. So, yeah, so I would say both. I think I get fed on both ends of that spectrum. Yeah, getting to meet people and talking to people after shows and hearing what I'm doing maybe means to them and is a beautiful thing. So I love all of the aspects of it, other than maybe the driving part.
You talked about the song "Dark, Dark, Dark" and the process that song was created. What other songs from this new album excite you?
Oh, well, I have to say all of them.
I kind of set myself up with that question. I kind of knew that was coming, but
yeah, I mean, I do have to say all of them. I really feel like there's not something that I put on the record that was like a filler or anything. So I really like each one, like the way we as musicians put music out now, or the business puts music out now, like one tease at a time, one song at a time, and then the album comes out. For me, it's just like almost agonizing to wait for people to hear the other songs. I mean, now there's 3 songs that are already kind of available to hear. And every time that happens, I just wake up the morning, whatever, Friday morning, I guess that's when songs generally come out. And I'm just so excited to hear from people. It's like people sending me messages like that they're loving the new song. So I feel like they're all, I'm excited about all of them. I'll try and answer your question better and think of like one in particular. I don't know. It's weird because I think about all the ones that people haven't heard yet, and I just can't pick one of those that I'm more excited about. I got super happy when These Ghosts came out, and that one's out in the world, and I've had just tons of feedback on that, and people, it's actually getting played on the radio, and and that just makes me happy to think that there's people that I haven't gotten to play for in years, and they're hearing my song, and hopefully they're going to get fired up and come out and see a show when I come through their town.
What was the journey like for that song, These Ghosts? I mean, what was the inspiration for that?
That was kind of coming out of just some dark times and trying to move forward. It's really just a pretty simple concept of like trying to shed things that you maybe have been dragging around for a while. trying to let go of, trying to let go of things in the past that were hard, or things that just didn't seem to be working out. It's that was kind of the general idea. And for me, it was, definitely like my own story in there, but I'd rather leave it for people to plug their own story into. But that one it took a little while for me to finish that. I had a lot of the ideas, and a lot of times during this writing process too, I was hiking a lot in the woods. So that was one of the ones that I think part of it probably was written, on a trail somewhere. Just like, I found that if I get stuck in a writing process, I can like walk, and somehow that just loosens up ideas, and a lot of times ideas will pop into my head, melodies or whatever. You're like sweating walking up a hill, and all of a sudden you have a guitar riff in your head, and I like document it on my phone and take it home and apply it to the song. So there's a lot in that song that was around that, like kind of like changing the way my life was changing. And then, there's also the guitar part on that. I think is really pretty fun. Like the riff at the intro is I'm like really into, this, Indian classical mandolin player that is no longer alive, but his name was U. Srinivas. I'm not even sure what his actual is, but he played like he played the mandolin, but played this crazy like classical Indian music on it, and I was like obsessed with that kind of music for a long time, and messed around with my own watered down version of trying to play that style. So that riff kind of came out of listening to him a lot, and a lot of elements came together to make that song. And then when I got into the studio with Phil out in Seattle, I knew right away it was going to be like really good, just from the first day when we did the rhythm tracks. And like the guys I was working with on bass and drums, Morgan Henderson and Sean Lane, were just like crushing it, and it just felt like exactly what it needed to be. So yeah, there's a lot around that song that I'm excited about, and I'm really happy that people are getting to hear it.
The self-reflection and the self-awareness that goes into writing, right? You're writing about your experiences, you're writing about, things that you need to get out as a creative person, as just a human being. Is that difficult for you to kind of go into those areas that go on experience or are about an experience, whether they're, obviously there's a lot of positive ones, but, when you write about something that was a difficult period in your life or a difficult moment, is that hard for you to kind of tap into that?
I think if I'm writing about it, I'm already tapped into it. I'm already like, it's something I have been carrying with me. So actually like expressing it is more therapeutic than anything. And to be able to express it in a way that maybe isn't just totally specific to me, like to express an experience that was hard in a way that maybe speaks to other people sometimes is also therapeutic. And then, the process of having documented it and being able to go out and play it for people live and kind of like get into that feeling with people that come out is a big part of it as well. Like, it feels kind of, it can be kind of healing to do that. It's almost like telling a bunch of people about what you've been through can be good. I think talking to people is good. And, I think singing songs about the trials and the joys of life is something that is beneficial to me, and hopefully can help other people as well. You know, I've had people that really have latched on to certain songs and connected with whatever it was that I was saying about, you know, about myself, and the beauty of it is them taking it and applying it to what they're going through and making a connection that is like, yeah, I've had some really cool people reach out and just tell me what things have meant to them. And it's just, it makes it all, just a beautiful experience. And yeah, I would say like, it's not hard to tap into that stuff, because it's always right there, you know?
It's always right there, but easy to tap into. Sometimes it might be a question of whether you are ready emotionally to tap into it, or to write about what you're tapping into. Do you find that ever being a challenge?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's just something that happens in the right time. Like if I have a song that shows itself to me, then it's happening when I can write it. You know, there are things that I wrote down. You know, like there's one line in one of the songs that I've had for quite a while, and the emotion of that line. Maybe it wasn't. Yeah, maybe I tried to write it too soon, because I carried it around for, you know, almost 10 years. That one single line. So maybe it took that long for it to like find its way into something that made sense, or something I was able to express. But generally, things seem to happen when they need to happen. Yeah.
Where is the evolution for you on this new album?
The evolution, the biggest step for me was reaching out to Phil Eck and trusting him. I mean, he's easy to trust. He's such a legend, and has produced some of my favorite records over the years. But the leap and the evolution was like, yeah, I'm going to reach out to him. We're going to work together, and I'm going to hand this material to him in a way that, you know, the whole time before we even started working on the record, I'd sent him all the demos and the lyrics and everything. And I said, you know, tell me what you need me to do. If you think something can be better, then I'm willing to like work on it. If I need to like work on my lyrics, like, you know, just be totally honest and let me know if something's not up to par, because I don't want to show up, you know, fly all the way out to Seattle and book a studio and have something that we're not all happy working on, you know. So it was a big leap for me to trust somebody like that. I've worked with people in the past, and mostly friends that were like in the studio and kind of helping produce, but like I never really like gave up control like that in a way that that I did with Phil, and it really paid off. He didn't really like come back and say, "Oh, you got to like rewrite these lyrics" or anything. He was generally pretty pleased with what I presented, but just the idea that if there was something that he wanted me to do, that we're both on board to like make it better, make it as good as possible. You know, I think he was really trying to make a really great record for me, and I was really trying to work hard to make sure that what we came up with, he was going to be proud of. So yeah, that was the evolution on this record.
Is that letting go and someone else not control the process, but push the process? Is that, you know, when did you decide that that's the route that you wanted to go to?
Well, I think seeing like the potential of working with somebody like that, and knowing that in order for it to be as good as it possibly could be, that, yeah, you have to like take on a partner, you have to kind of like, because he knows, I mean, he he's good at what he does. He knows what he's doing. And if I was to go in there and resist like his notes or his edit ideas, or, like tempo changes, or like, I don't, maybe this part should be shorter, those kind of things. If I resist it, then I might as well just record my record at home without a producer. It was a team effort, I think, and it made the whole thing better to do that.
What comes after this album? I mean, it's coming out on the 9th. What are your plans for touring and playing this for your fans?
I have a real solid start booked. Couple of decent runs. I'll be kind of all over the country, playing shows shortly after the record comes out. And then when that winds down, I'll be, we're really just kind of like shaping up what's going to happen in the summer. But I'm really going to be doing my best to like come out to radio stations, get out and play for people at shows, get some festivals going, and a couple trips over to Europe to play for those folks over there. And yeah, that's really it. That's what the near future looks like, is a lot of traveling and playing and meeting people and that kind of stuff.
Well, it's a beautiful album, I will say that. And yeah, I really enjoyed listening to it. And I, can't wait for its release for you, and for your fans, because I think it really, you have something here. And I think it really is, a new avenue for you that, I think you should be really proud of.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I feel proud. I really do. I feel proud of it. And it's good to hear that you connected with it. And, yeah, I'm hoping it gets heard by, a lot of people, and I can keep doing this. That's kind of the goal, really. It's just like creating a situation where I can go out and play for people and, continue that cycle on and on until I can't do it anymore. I can just come home and write more music and get back out and play more shows.
The new album is New Lost Ages, out February 9th, and just an awesome record. So please go get it. All Tyler's notes or links will be in the show notes. So as you're listening, when you're done, click on those. It'll bring you to his social media pages, his website. You can, find out more about the album there. Tyler, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Jay. I really appreciate you taking the time. Yeah, it was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Jay Scott. This has been another episode of The Hook Rocks, the Ultimate Rock Community Podcast. Thanks again for tuning in. Stay safe, take care of each other, and we will talk soon. Thank you.
You better get yourself familiar with suffering, because we're living in a world that we can't understand. I tried all kinds of magical thinking. I try to keep the devil away, but our time is at hand. We've written every single line of all the empty pages. All these new lost ages. All these new lost ages. There'll be a world to live in when these kids have kids. And would they want to live together in this world we build?
At ZocDoc, we know being a healthy adult is like living in a video game. Every day has side quests, taxes, laundry, birthdays. And just when you're leveling up, you have to book a doctor. The insurance portal crashes. They put you on hold. Your doctor doesn't take your plan. Game over. We see you. So we made booking a doctor easy. Download ZocDoc. Search by specialty, insurance, and availability. Book instantly. No cheat codes required. Find a doctor you love with ZocDoc.
I see you.
Avatar: Fire and Ash is now streaming on Disney+. It's the film critics are calling the best Avatar yet.
Go, 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 go!
A true epic and completely jaw-dropping.
This is the only pure thing in this world.
Return to Pandora on Disney+.
It will be an adventure for the whole family.
And watch the Oscar-winning phenomenon at home.
This is sick!
Avatar: Fire and Ash, now streaming on Disney+. Rated PG-13.
Uncovered windows can make your home feel up to 20 degrees hotter. Stay cool and save up to 45% off custom window treatments during the summer Black Friday mega sale at Blinds.com. From outdoor shades to room darkening blinds, finding the perfect fit is easy. Get free samples, expert design help, and professional measure and install services, or DIY with confidence and support every step of the way. Shop up to 45% off site-wide, plus huge savings on doorbusters right now during the summer Black Friday mega sale at Blinds.com.